Good morning, everyone. Today I'd like to talk to you about our all the upgrades here at Parallax. We've had notice from Bloomberg that they want to get out of the App Store business sometime later this year. So we have moved our all of our products from Bloomberg over to our own store, and so that on our website now you'll see same as always. You'll see the technology area, the list of the tools we actually have, the data sources we now support. We fully support Bloomberg still. All of our Bloomberg clients will see a little or no change to the tools that they're using when we switch over from their store to our store. We're also supporting financial modeling prep as an alternative to Bloomberg for some of the smaller shops. And we also still have our tools working inside of TradeStation, so not completely our app, but sitting on top of TradeStation. User guides, updates, things that are going on in the company are all in here for the reading. And here's our store. So the tools that you're used to on Bloomberg are now available in our store. You'll recognize them. We've put some bundles together that match what we've been doing at Bloomberg. We also have our contact list here to get in touch with us and schedule a time to move over to the new store. So without further ado, I'm going to walk you through the upgrades to the technology that we've got. So first of all, the desktop apps that you've been used to from Bloomberg, when you click on them to launch them, they download to your computer and then they run. But from now on, you'll be able to put an icon down here and say, just run the applications that are already on my computer. We don't have to download them anymore, except for the first time. Like any other app for your computer, you're going to download, install it, and then it's there. So here are all the tools. You're used to seeing most of these. This is a new one for our charting application. This is a newly created tool to replace the G charts on Bloomberg. And we also have two data sources listed here, Bloomberg or FMP. And as a lot of you know, the Bloomberg restricts the amount of data you have each month. So, of course, it's near the end of the month and I've run out of data. So I'm going to switch over to FMP and just show you what's new in the code that way. So now you'll have this launcher. You just launch the scanner from here. You don't have to go find it in the store or try to remember what the tag word was for the tagline for the launcher. So it looks the same. It's functionally almost identical. Price Wizard, same thing. The scanner looks almost identical to what we've had before. We'll get to the Excel ad in a minute, but this is a launcher for it that installs it on your machine. And then this is a new tool, the integrated charting tool, which I think you're going to like even better than G-Charts. It has way more features. So I'll minimize that, we'll minimize this, and we'll start talking about what's new in the code. So in ExtremeHurst, there's a couple of new things. This custom button, you remember we have the ability to search, 5, 15, 30, hourly, 2 hour, 4 hour, et cetera. But what if you want to do 78-minute charts and search those? Well, you can add those here. You just click here, put in your custom, 78 minutes, let's say, and add it. And suddenly you'll have it added to the list down here. You can check that box and it'll search 78-minute charts. We won't do that today, but it's available. So that's a little bit new. FMP doesn't have options, so this is grayed out, but Bloomberg does. Now on the filters, I've left it at trade quality, which is the 95 and above. My favorite is 97. Most of you know that. But 95 and above still gives you a 25% edge. I almost always select more signals. So I set that as the default now. So what it does is if you're doing daily bars, it'll also additionally scan 2-day bars. And you'd think that would be a lot more expensive, but my new coding friend Claude has found a way to make ExtremeHurst 40% faster. So it's going to be a little bit quicker to do your scans. So let's just do a quick scan of INDU, 30 stocks. There's a few signals that are daily in here. And by default, it's going to scan back. I didn't show you in additional settings. We also have the ability to scan just the most recent bars, which are the last 2 bars. The default is the last 20 bars of a scan. It'll go back 20 bars looking for signals. But you can also scan the full record. And there's a reason you might want to do that, which I'll show you in a few minutes. But here's a pretty quick scan of the 30 Dow stocks. And of course, a little chart down here now has the trade box on it, which is new. Putting that there. This icon over here is new, which pops out a full window chart, which is nice because the little chart is, little. And the chart zoom now works a little bit better. It'll zoom both directions, which it wasn't quite doing before. And so that's a feature that is working better. And under the chart book, I was going to show you the additional settings here. So here's search back 2 bars, 20 bars, which is the default, or the full chart history. I wanted to show you that. That's changed slightly. The chart book, instead of chart book plus, which just adds the current signal to a chart book, we can auto-generate a chart book. So let's do that. So you hit auto-generate, it'll cycle through all the signals and pick the most recent signal for each security. Because if you have multiple signals, you don't need multiple entries in the chart book. So I found 7 charts. We can just print those to a PDF or print them out to a printer. Call it test, and then I'm not sure where I put those, but anyway, close that. And as always, the chart book has 3 to a page and is available to print out on your printer. Okay, so what else can we do? Well, there's a new feature here as well called macro analysis. One of the things that we've been experimenting with is to take a look back at the dynamic state of the market over time. And Claude helped us build this little tool, which what it does, it goes back through history, and in this case for the Dow, it's looking at the percentage of the Dow holdings that were in green, meaning persistent uptrends, or persistent downtrends. Now this is again where the Hurst bands come into play. If you're in the green, above the green band line or below the magenta line, you're in the green zone. So at this point here, 60% of the Dow stocks were in the green zone, and only a small percentage were in the red zone. So this is green zone versus red zone as percent holdings. And what we can do, this purple line in the back is basically making a advanced decline line, but in this case it's green zone, red zone. So we're looking at what percentage of the stocks are in those 2 zones, which are they're trending, not just up, but trending. Because we can always say, hey, how many mean reverting stocks are there? Well, that's the blue zone. But the more interesting idea is if you look at how many are trending, and we have some interesting effects at these crossovers when we go from one zone to another, and that's Claude added this little analysis where he talks about where the crossovers are. So there's a bullish crossover, more stocks in uptrends versus downtrends on the 10th of April, 2026, which is exactly where we had a major compression on the indices, and they broke strongly to the upside. So this may be something useful in the future where this crossover occurs. This is a crossover where it started down, which I don't see the date exactly, but you can put it out to CSV and find the crossover dates. Okay, so that's something new. Also, been requested by a client to add. Well, we have the trade box, which is there. Let's see if we can look through a couple of these. HON. Okay, we'll do HON. So let's say you want to look at all the time frames. This is a daily chart, but maybe I want to look at a grid of different charts. Well, you can add the extra tools over here, but better than that, we can look at a time grid of for Honeywell and see what the other time frames show us. So you click that, and our new charting tool um, will pop up the time grid charts, and it does this automatically, which is something you used to be able to arrange in Launchpad, but this is nicer. It just immediately goes to a grid. So the first chart up was monthly. Shows the valuation has fallen off in Honeywell. These are the purple ticks are the PriceWizard valuations, and they apparently have fallen off quite a bit. Anyway, we'll get the rest of the charts. Here's the weekly chart, and then you'll see the other ones come in. You'll get a daily, then you'll get a 4-hour, a 1-hour, and a 15-minute chart. So you can do that with any right-click on anything in the scanner and see the charts. Or you can just look at the one chart with more detail. So either way, you can do that. So there's the daily chart. Now notice there's this notice over on the right side here, and it's there too. In this case, well, I'll go over that in a minute. These are alerts that come up, and they fade away in about 5 seconds. But there's a record of those alerts. Oh, 60-minute. Yeah, look at that. The 240-minute went from a compression to an extension on Honeywell. And on the daily chart, there's a compression still moving, although it may be ready for a good bounce. So here's the 6 charts that we just generated. Now, if I haven't shown you the charting tool yet, but here's the charting tool. And notice it made a grouping of those 6 charts. Now that group can be saved. We can save it, and if I want to come back later and reload it, I can do that and bring this open. What you haven't seen yet is that these charts are linked. This chain here is a linkage. If I go to the data settings, you'll see that they are linked by security and study. So if I change the security from Honeywell to some other security here, it'll change all the charts. And likewise, if I change the Extremehurst or one of the other settings to a new setting, it will change all the charts with that setting. Or you can unlink the charts. You don't have to have them linked. The charts will refresh. Open ILO closed volume refreshes every 60 seconds. The studies will refresh every 5 minutes. And that's that. So let's look at one of these. This is a pretty cool looking chart. So with the charting tool, all the usual things are there. You can change the scales. You can bring in more data. More back history. Now, all these studies are set up to look back. Most of them are set up only to go back 100 bars. So we didn't want to, take up all your CPU. You can expand it, and the way you do that, well, first let me show you the tool. So there's the zoom tool, stretchy box, zoom, unzoom. There's a grid on and off. The grid's not very visible, but it's there. You can look at candlesticks if you like that kind of thing. The subcharts can be turned off or on. There's a volume one which is never on. You can turn it on if you want to see volume. RSIZ. RSIZ is, if you haven't heard of it before, it's just it's the same old RSI, but with the Z stands for standard deviation. So instead of the 70-30 sort of arbitrary levels, we're using standard deviation levels, and they're shown with the dotted line here. So when you go over the standard deviation levels, it becomes more statistically significant. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same as the old RSI. I made this years ago. The Hurstfer, which we've talked about in training sessions, I've showed you pictures of it in demos, but now we can actually look at it on the chart, so you can turn that off if you don't want to see it. With the trade box that you're all used to, this is the 10% line down here, but now if you float over it, you can get, having said that, where is it? Float over it, and, oh yeah, there you go. The low is 201.76, and there's a it's down 6% from the signal. The signal's here. And the target area, which in this case is the blue line, is 230.4, 7% up from the signal. And the time stop over here is on the 6th of May at 9:30 in the morning, local Pacific time. So, and if you float over the extension, it tells you it's a bottom extension, when it occurred, and the time it occurred, and the price that it occurred at, and the rank, and how many bars it's good for. Really helpful information. Up here, let me continue showing you across you can turn on and off the legend. Over here, you have a crosshair, so you can get feedback up here as to, what the prices are on a given bar, and that's kind of obnoxious to look at all the time. Now here you can change chart settings, you can change color, axes, and the study settings are interesting because here you can, all the studies are represented, and you can change things in each study if you want, and if they're linked, it'll change it on all the charts. So extremers, for instance, what we've got here is 95 for the signal, but if I want to change it to 97, which is my favorite, and maybe show the Trident stops and targets, I can do that, and it'll change it everywhere. So here's the stops and targets for the compression, and here's the ones for the extension, the new ones that are coming in. So that's available, and it'll change it on all the charts. So if I go back to our grid, some of these will eventually, they will change. And yeah, so there's that. And then up here, let's see where we're over here. So this shows that there are some linkages. This little dash over here is with a circle around it. That just minimizes the grid. You can minimize the whole grid. You can also bring the whole grid back by restoring it. And the way I did that kind of fast. So if you go to the group itself and you right-click on the group, you can do a lot of things in here. You can save the group, rename the group, restore the group, delete the group, minimize it, move it to the front if there's a number of groups. All the groups will be listed here, and if you need more room, there's room over here. You'll have lots of different groups. And you can save them out and reload them. You don't have to have them all visible at the same time. All the alerts are over in here, and they accumulate as we get them. And so I told you that. Now on the sharing, you can save an image to file, copy to a clipboard, so you can paste it into IBChat. Export the data, print the chart out. All of that's available. And the alert, when it's blue, I think that means that there's alerts in the list. So all that's available. I'll just put this back here. And so I've showed you what's new in the Extremer scanner. Let's go ahead and I didn't show you one thing. Not quit yet. Let's go back to the plotter. Let me clear this out. Let's clear that one out. And let's say you wanted to do, the charter has 3 modes: single chart, multiple single charts, and time grid. We just showed you the time grid. So multiple single charts, you can get the data, you can get your security names from anywhere. Copy, paste, text file, but you can also read it right off the scanner. So here we go. Extremer scan has 7 charts in there, so let's bring them in. Bring in 7 security names, and then let's do monthly charts for each one. And we slide down to the different studies, Oh, let's do, I don't know, we can do them all, or we can do, you know, let's do, oh, by the way, the dots indicate how fast the signals come up. So, if we did Hirschfer for each one, well, let's not do that. Let's do bands. It's just fast. Let's do bands and um, create the charts. Now we can create the charts in different patterns. We can either have them tiled or we can have them cascading. Cascading's good. We can do that. So click create, bang, all 7 charts come up fast, and there's cascading, and you can see where all we did was we plotted the Hirschfer on top, so it was super fast. I don't have to go through and delete each one. I just push those to the back, go over here and say, delete it, delete the group, and clear it out. Oh, wait, I hit the wrong one, clear. So that's available. So now I can close this. You've seen what you can do. Quit, to save, no. So on Price Wizard, I think I already had that open somewhere. Yeah, there we go. So we can do the same thing. Let's do INDU valuations, INDU. And you can put in the ETF name now. I could put DIA, U.S. equity if I want. You can use the Bloomberg name while you're on Bloomberg. Of course you can. But remember, I'm on FMP. And what it's doing is it's translating the Bloomberg names and finding the FMP equivalent. So it's convenient for Bloomberg users. Or you can put in the FMP name without a conversion. FMP claims with their ultimate package, which is like $99 a month, they've got, 70,000 time series and 60 countries they claim. So I noticed all the futures are there, all the U.S. stocks, back 30 years of history, all the fundamentals. They've got all the fundamentals. We can run Wizard on it. So it becomes a really nice, cheaper alternative. Two ways. If you're quota sensitive, this would be nice to add. FMP would if your quota runs out mid-month, like mine does, you could certainly use this to fill in the blanks, like I'm doing. Okay, so we got a couple new features here under additional settings. The look-back period you can vary now between 5 and 30 years. The reason you might want to do that is if you're doing some back testing. We have a back testing facility built in. Same pop-out chart as I showed you before. I got tired of looking at the little chart, wanted to see something bigger, but now, better thing to do is just say, hey, let me see the Bloomberg, the Parallax Charting Apps version of this. And bang, we get, all the Price Wizard numbers. We get precision turn up here. This is volume trend, which doesn't look very good. Volume trend line only moves if volume's increasing. So all this move up is barely noticeable here, which isn't very good. If I want to look at this on a weekly scale, I can hit weekly and update the chart, and it'll go to weekly. Actually, I didn't show you one. Well, there's some cool features in here. Okay, so this is a cycle turn up here. This is precision turn. We finally got that into the code. Precision turn, cycle top, cycle top. Now, again, precision turn, we don't know whether the turns are going to be tops or bottoms or, whatever. So we just measure the run-in. If it's been going down, we mark it as a bottom. If it's been going up, we mark it as a top. It's, sort of that simple. But there's something else cool you can do in here. I didn't show you that before, but let's say we wanted to do quarterly. So we put it on monthly, and then we go down to bars to merge here and just do 3-month charts. Just hit OK, and I could change the date back. Let's go back a little further and go back to 2010. Update chart, and now it's going to do effectively the synthetic quarterlies for this, and you can see you're way out in the Hirsch band line, way out. Anyway, so that's available. I'll just close it. So from any of these signatures, we can go to the charting tool. See, CRM was interesting looking. Oh, not CRM. It's WCRM. Yeah, that was pretty cool. It came right back down to value. That chart was interesting. Bam. Although there's significant volume increase on this down move. But, last time it came down to value, it stopped and took off again. All right, so I showed you that much, but there's more. Under chart book, same thing. We can do put all the charts. I won't do this, but all 30 charts go in a chart book just by hitting one button. And that was requested by a user. And then past performance has got some upgrades. So in our back tester, I'll just show you that real quick. We've added a couple of features. All right, so in this case, we're sorting by our wizard rank, which has been there all along. That's not new. Let's take, it is the Dow, so we could, 20% of 30 stocks. That's, it's only 6 stocks. So what this assumes is the same amount of money is invested each month in the 6 best stocks, held a year and dumped. And we just do that in a continuous, always investing the same amount of money. So there's no compounding that occurs. So in here, you got lots of different testing you do. This is a sorter, and then you can clip that sort by these different restrictive constraints. You can also do it the other way around now, where you click this and then you'll pick the constraint and then do the sort. So you'll get the same number each time, which is a little bit more stable occasionally. So if you want to find out what the current picks are, I didn't apply it yet. So let's do this. Let's take the top 20% each month, hold it a year and dump it. That's 19 years. And again, it's not compounded. So the current picks are these: Amazon, Goldman, Johnson & Johnson, Cat, Disney, IBM. And then it'll produce a monthly grid, performance grid, to show you how it's done over the years. This year it's down a little bit, but that's a nice new addition that can be put off to a CSV file. So that's what's new in there. And let's quit. No. Okay, well, what about the Excel add-in? We've got that too. For those of you who have been using that extensively, it's nice and easy to install. All the templates are here, all separated, so you don't get them in your face and you don't see the ones you don't need to see. I'll just show you this multi-scale one because it's fairly fast. Good example of what we can do. Show it in folder. Everybody likes Extremehurt, so we'll do an Extremehurt example here with multiple scales. And it should be coming up. Yep. Our apps are signed, by the way. There's an interesting story about signing. We got the highest level of certificate for our application, so you could all trust us, only to find out that Microsoft said, yeah, no, we don't really want to recognize any certificates as being totally trustworthy. So when you update our application, it'll still come up and say that it's not sure about us. Turns out, yeah, I read that you have to have up to 2,000 people downloading your app before Microsoft says, okay, we'll just say that you're a reputable data source. Anyway, that's unless you buy their certificate, which we're probably going to do at some point. Anyway, so on the Excel tools, here's an example of an Extremehurt run with all these different major markets, 10 years, the crude oil, gold, NASDAQ, and S&P. And it's set up right now for the data source being Bloomberg. Now, because we have multiple data sources, you need to set your data source, but once you've set it, it'll remember it, so you won't have to keep setting it every time. And this setup is going to look, within the last 20 bars, kind of like the scanner does. And I've set it up similar to the scanner, so it's trade quality and doubled bars. So if I hit true here, before I do that, let me show you one change. So all of these tools now have PFR dot in front of them. So whatever your spreadsheet is, there's two changes that have to be made. You have to put the PFR dot in front, and then the new Excel dynamic array technology. This is the latest from Microsoft and the Excel add-in. This space that it writes into needs to be clear. So everything needs to be erased in here. Now it will take care of erasing what it puts in, but it will not write into this space unless it's clear. That's something new. So anyway, we'll go ahead and turn it on. And instead of saying getting data, it will say NA initially. If anything else besides NA comes up, there's a troubleshooting guide attached to the install sheet. And of course, the ultimate troubleshooting guide is I can come in and help you. Anyway, it's running, and it will put out, all the signals that it finds within the last 20 bars, and bars meaning 20 months, 20 weeks, 20 days, etc. 25-minute charts. And because we're pulling from the exact same data source now, whereas we weren't before, the G charts don't have any data rounding. They don't have any data manipulation done to them. Whereas the scanning data had, I think several decimal rounding that was done. So anyway, we're pulling from the same data source for all of our tools now, so you shouldn't see any differences between the scanners and Excel or the plotting, the charting. They're all getting the data from the same place. Now, the length of data that it pulls in obviously needs to be significant enough data that it will run, some back history for you. But that should be taken care of internally. Okay, so we're starting to get some signals. There's the first one on crude oil weekly. Now we've got the NASDAQ 60-minute signal. That's what is that, top extension, NASDAQ top extension on the 60-minute. Is it 60-minute? Yep, 60-minute. And we've got a compression on the S&P on a weekly. That was one we talked about on April 10th. That was where the persistent uptrend stocks versus downtrend stocks crossed over. All right, so they're all in. And now what happens is if I turn this to false and turn this off, these will all empty again. So you can leave it on. There's no problem with leaving it on. There's a new variable in the mix which is defaulted to freeze, and what that means, it's called refresh mode. And what refresh mode does is it will allow your 5-minute chart to refresh every 5 minutes, your 10-minute, your 15-minute chart to refresh every 15 minutes, etc. So you can set that. If you went in to look at the options, one of the options is interval. And interval, if you're set on a 5-minute chart, if you set this to interval here, then whatever the interval is, in this case 5 minutes, every 5 minutes it will go get a fresh set of bars or a fresh bar and add to it and run it again. So, and it will give you a signal if a signal occurs. So this is a live sheet. If you change these to all of these to interval, the sheet will continue to update on whatever the interval is. And with our tools, unlike on Bloomberg that goes off every night, these will stay up, especially if I'm using FMP, data feed doesn't go away. If the data feed from Bloomberg goes away, you'll still see the signals that exist. They won't disappear on you. It's just that they won't update. So that's that. If you need to use the data here in some other place, you might want to copy and paste it so that it doesn't have the signal type. This row, by the way, the orange letters mean that there's a calculation under there, and the orange cells indicate those are inputs. So these are all inputs that are orange, and then the orange lettering indicates that there's a function underneath. And if you haven't, you're not familiar with the function tool, if you click help on the function, it will take you to our help file. Oh, well, no, never mind. Not taking you there just quite yet. If you see, the if statement has a couple of parts to it. You have to select just the PFR part, and then if you go to the function and ask for help, it will give you help. There's our help file for Extremehurst and all the inputs and outputs. So I think you'll be pretty well taken care of. I hope so. But I'm always here if you need questions answered. So I think that's, oh, there's one more thing. This was just added in the last few days. Let's say I want to take a look at that crude oil turn here, extension top. If I click on the name, CL1 commodity, right click on it, look at that, plot in parallax charting. So I can plot the weekly chart. As long as the charting app is open, it will plot the weekly chart. And it'll be up in a second. So you can right click on any of these and look at any of the names of securities and right click and go to the chart. I believe it's coming up. I don't think I closed the charting tool. Yeah, there it is. It didn't pop in front. So there's the top extension on crude oil. Pretty well timed. It should be in effect until the 11th of May. And there's a price volume cross there. There's a cycle turn. So it's been pretty good. And there was a cycle bottom here. This is a pivot tool that was created a long time ago. It's never been, it's been in the Excel sheet on Bloomberg, but I've never put it on a chart until now. And I kind of like it. It's got a decent edge. It's single digit, but it's still a high single digit edge. So it's evaluating these zigzags and the changes in price and time and volatility and volume, and looking at all the different behavior during these branches, and then comes up through an AI analysis. It comes up with either a buy or sell signal or nothing if there isn't anything. In this case, it said, yeah, this looks like a buy for the next leg being to the upside. Well, it wasn't very timely, but it did happen. So anyway, there you go. So it's quite a bit of new technology. And I'll just turn this off, and you'll see the Excel DNA takes care of keeping the area clear for the next add-on. If you did that by accident, by the way, and you go back to true, it cached the results, so it'll just put it back where it was. Okay. Anyway, there you go. And slowly over the next few months, we have until mid-September, according to Bloomberg, to convert everybody over to our new app store, and the same tools or enhanced tools that you've been using. And we always take input from clients. If there's something you like to see added over time, be glad to do it. In the app store itself, you'll see, well, for all of you that are already on Bloomberg, you'll be assigned a PayPal link that matches as closely as possible the current price that you're on now and the bundle that you're using now. So if you're getting Extremehurst and the Excel and the charting bundle, you'll get that. And if your price is similar to The professional status price, you'll get that. Institutional price is a little higher. And we have a personal category. There's some individuals that, um, they can afford the FMP interface, so we've got some lower prices for if you're managing your own money. You're not a professional money manager. All right, so hopefully over the next couple months, we'll be working with each person individually to transfer them over to this new regime. Before September, mid-September, all the Parallax tools, in fact, everyone's tools from the App Store will be going away. Every vendor. So keep that in mind. Um, if you're using other tools from the App Store, it's all going away. They want to get out of the App Store business. Don't know why exactly. I've heard a few excuses, but none of them have made much sense. But it's their prerogative to do as they will, and so we'll see you in our store. Anyway, very good. Thank you very much.